Guys ready? Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled DSS board meeting. Just a reminder, if you would please silence your mobile devices, and I will ask for Commissioner Harding to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, as we come to you this afternoon, we give you thanks for everything you do for us. Thank you for a beautiful day in the community that we live in. As we as commissioners meet tonight to do your work, let us be mindful of the needs of this community. Be with each and every one of us. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. I'll ask Commissioner Grindstaff to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 5 on the agenda is the ethics awareness and conflict of interest reminder. Having time to review that, does anybody have any ethics or conflict of interests they need to disclose? Hearing none, I'll move on to item number 6, additions or changes to the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda that need to be made tonight? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote by usual sign. Moving on to item number 8, we have the appointment of the DSS board chairman. I'll entertain a motion. I'll entertain a nominee for a DSS board chairman.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, if you would be willing to agree and consent to this, I think you've done an excellent job, a very good relationship with the department and the director. At this point in time, I would recommend to this board, Mr. Brandon Pittman remain as the DSS board chair.
Second.
All those in favor, or is there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor, vote by usual sign. Moment of personal privilege. I appreciate you guys instilling that trust in me, and I appreciate the citizens of the county allowing me to remain in this position. I think that DSS is one of our most vital agencies that we have in maintaining the well-being of our community. So I appreciate that, and I'm honored to continue serving as the chair. Moving on to the appointment of the DSS board vice chair. I'll entertain a nomination for the DSS board vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recommend as vice chair for DSS, Ms. Hardy Masters.
Are there any other nominations?
I was going to nominate Steve Pittman.
How do we do 2 nominations? We just vote on each of them. We have a nomination for Ms. Hardy Masters and a nomination from Ms. Hardy Masters for Mr. Steve Pittman.
Can I have a moment of personal privilege?
Sure.
Do you not want it, Harley? I mean,
I
just
would-
frankly, do you not want it? Okay. Thank you.
Still vote on it. Yes, we still have 2 nominations, so it's need to vote. So all those in favor of Ms. Harley Masters? All those in favor of Mr. Steve Pittman? Moving on to the approval of the minutes.
I don't think it was awkward. That's the least awkward
All
thing
right.
that's happened this week.
I probably should have asked each one of you first, but I didn't, so.
It's okay.
That's all right. Having time to review the June 6th minutes, I'll entertain a motion that we approve those.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, vote by usual sign. Moving on down the agenda to item number 9, I'll ask that our director come and give us her update.
Thank you, and I hope everyone's had a great 4th. I know it was nice to have that 3-day weekend and some time with family, so I hope you all did as well. And I kind of wanted to echo Brandon a little bit as far as just support from what he's provided us, especially me as a new director. I just want to thank him for that. And it's a privilege for us also, Brandon, to have you as our chair. We appreciate the time that you have devoted towards us and coming up there and meeting. And we just really appreciate everything you do in your time. I know it's a lot of time, so we appreciate what you do for us.
Well, I greatly appreciate the work that's being done up there. I lay down at night and I sleep good knowing that people in our community are getting treated the way they should be treated.
A few announcements and things that I wanted to share as far as updates with us. We did have our Elder Abuse Awareness Walk on the 20th of June. So we really appreciate all those that came out. There was the Senior Citizen Center staff, our staff, a few others mingled in. It was really great to have that walk and just discussion around it. Sean shared some statistics around elder abuse awareness and just the numbers and how it's growing. And then Miss Lori Gilchrist was there and she took some pictures, and that's actually in the newspaper this week. If anyone gets a chance to look at that and read the article, it's really some great information that we can share. We also had 2 newspaper postings, one for our Foster Parent Appreciation Day. And Brandon was there for that event as well. On the 9th of June, we also did a community spotlight with the Toe River Arts Council, and Sean and I went and met with several of those members. The artists came and we really just kind of mingled around with them and shared all about foster care and being a foster parent, really trying to recruit that as well as just engage them and the needs of the community, and maybe looking at partnering with some events with them, and just awareness. You know, here again, it's kind of like I said that earlier today, just awareness of what goes on and the needs within the community, so we can all kind of work together for our children. So that was really great, and that is also in the newspaper. If you think it was on the following after the 9th, so if you got a chance to see that. We did have our Staff Appreciation Day. This was June 22nd. So thank you to Alan and Brandon that came up. We had lunch. We presented awards for years of service awards, and really just fellowshipped and had some good times together. So we appreciate that time.
We had a 30+ year
We did.
award, didn't we? That's impressive.
And once again, we continue to do our multidisciplinary team meetings for our adult protective services, that age range. And we also are still doing our law enforcement meetings monthly. Our next one is July 12th. So once again, we welcome any of you that want to participate with us. We'd love to have you. We do have our community child protection team training and meeting also. Now, Mr. Harding, I think we talked a little bit last time, and you said you might be interested in serving on that board. So if you can make it on July the 20th from 9 to 11:30, we will be doing a training and be our first meeting. So if you can, if you can't, we understand.
Depends how my new knee is working at that.
Wendy, when is the law enforcement meeting? What time is that on the 12th?
The law enforcement meeting is it 3? I think that's on 3. Yeah. And our multidisciplinary team is at 10. Yeah, we'd love to have any of you.
You just meet in the office conference room there?
In the kitchen, actually.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. No food though, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna ask Sean to come and share our numbers for CPS and adult.
Evening. Couple of highlights. We currently have 30 kids in custody. We have one youth we took into custody this in June. In addition to that, we had 3 kids adopted, a sibling group of 3. So we were able to get them adopted, get that finalized. What that ended up with for that year, so July 1 through June 30th of 2021, 2022, we ended up with 14 final adoptions for the year, which was huge. The state provides each county with a kind of a targeted, how many kids, a county should be adopting out. Our county, I believe, was 2. So obviously we exceeded that significantly. That's part of that bubble in our system that's going out. So we're obviously not going to see this every single year, or anything like that, but that was a huge accomplishment to get 14 kids permanency. On top of that, because we exceeded that amount by so much, there's federal money that gets pulled down as incentives that help promote adoption and things like that. So as a result, we pulled down $66,703. And so that's a huge chunk of money that we are able to put into that account for adoptions, and it allows us to continue to recruit. There's not a time frame. It's not like we have to spend that money in the last year. I mean, it's given to us. We're allowed to use it. It has to be designated for adoptions, adoption recruitment, retention, that kind of thing. And so it's what we utilize when we're doing advertisements in the newspaper, when we do the billboards, those types of things. That's that money that we get. We've had money that we've pulled down in previous years that we've been managing. And so this will go on top of what we already have in that account. So,
And I guess we could use it probably for some of the events that you guys have been doing too.
yeah, so whenever we do adoption and foster parent recruitment, because when we're doing those recruitments, obviously what we're doing is we're recruiting not only for foster parents, but we're also recruiting for adopted parents. And if you look at, the number of our foster parents who have adopted, that's a big part of our adoption pool as well. So, yes, we use that for those events and those type of promotions.
I appreciate you cooking those hamburgers and hot dogs and all those too, man.
Well, it was a fun day to celebrate with our foster parents, and a big thanks for all the staff that worked on that. It's not one person. Those kids came through the entire pipeline. But just Donna had to do a lot of home studies this year, get those done, get all that stuff done. So just I do want to just mention that the hard work that she put into making sure that those 14 adoptions were finalized, as well as all the other staff in the pipeline.
Sean serves double duty up there as like the chef for all the events.
My wife is dying laughing right now if you refer to me as a chef. But she won't let me boil water at the house. Number of kids out of county, as you got those, we've decreased the number of kids out of county, and we've increased the number of kids in county. So that we've been really blessed the last several kids that we've had to take into custody. We were at a place with relatives. One of those relatives did end up having to be out of the area, but they were still, at least that child's in kinship. But we continue to focus on trying to do everything we can to keep our kids in Mitchell County. It's kind of been our motto, and we kind of just we're actually planning on hopefully maybe getting some of that, using some of that money that we pulled down to get up some signs and really push that is our goal is, keep Mitchell kids in Mitchell County. And that's the only way we're going to do that is for people in our community to help partner with us and do that. We were able to get one family license, and we still have another family in the pipeline in getting training. With CPS calls for abuse, we had 13 calls for June. 7 of those were screened in, so a little over 50% of those were screened in. our in-home numbers, we had 3 of our in-home cases closed, so we just got 1 open in-home case right now. Moving to our APS numbers, we had 7 calls in June, and all 7 calls were screened in. And so that's kind of what we've seen too, is although sometimes we may not get a huge number of calls, the calls that we are getting screened in. And then when we go out and complete our assessments, those cases are actually being closed, or not necessarily being closed, but also being identified as our adults in need. So we ended up with, we have 7 open assessments right now with APS. We have four adults that we're serving as case management. Still have 1 in SA in-home. We've got 13 payees. We're managing 14 guardianships, which is a lot of the heavy lifting right now is the guardianships in the assessment part of APS.
How many did you guys have all year last year? Sean, do you remember how many adults you had open cases on?
Open cases, you mean for assessment
Yeah,
purposes?
just, you said you got 7 this past month. That seems awful high.
I mean, that's been averaging. If you look at kind of across the board, January was really high, that we had 12, and then we had 7, 9, 8, 3, and then 7. So I'm trying to think of what, off the top of my head, what the total was last year. What that final number was.
But overall, it's been trending up.
Yes, I think I think when I did the numbers for the abuse walk, the adult awareness walk, I believe in the year prior, we had 77 calls. And for the last year, so it'd been from June to June, excuse me, we were up to 134 calls. So we went from the previous year of 77 up to 134.
So almost double.
What would any opinion or statistics, what you would say caused that rise, Sean? From what you're seeing?
I mean, it's really hard. I mean, I think the one is that our population in general for Mitchell County is older, and it's continuing to trend older. I think that we also have a decrease in the support system that a lot of our elderly people used to have. We're seeing 2 combinations of things happening. One is people that have been here their whole life, but their family has moved away. You know, their kids, their grandkids no longer live in Mitchell County. They're still here, but those families are in others. Most of them are in other states. They've relocated not only out of Mitchell County, but completely out of the state. We also see where people have located here, retired here 20 years ago. When they're 65, and all of a sudden now they're 20 years down the road. We're getting calls on some of those individuals, and their support system isn't here. They lived in other states. Their family lived in other states. So we're seeing that kind of issue going on, is where the support system there that was kind of the safety net for our older population is no longer there. We're seeing, you certainly can't take COVID off the table. That a lot of our, the system that was in there that kind of helped keep an eye on that population for the last 2 years have been non-existent. And then we're just now getting, people are just now getting back out there and seeing some of these individuals. So substance abuse, we're seeing another trend is younger individuals. So individuals that are now in their sometimes under 40, but sometimes in their 50s and 60s, who have been chronic substance abuse users, are now ending up, we're getting calls on because they have damaged themselves to the extent where they're not able to care for themselves. And we're in a position where we're having to sometimes look at, debating on whether or not we need to take guardianship of someone in those capacities and stuff. So it's a combination of different things that are just shifting in our community. But we have an incredible group of individuals up there that come in every day and do an incredible job navigate through all this stuff.
Just when I think I've figured out everything they do, I hear about new things they're doing. So that APS unit is a good unit. They do some good work.
It's an awesome group of people. Thank y'all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy late 4th. Happy 5th. So if I can speak just for a minute about that as special adoption assistance money and correct myself. So we received revenue of $66,734 in incentive money to promote adoptions. In comparison, to give you a comparison of what we got last year, we received a little over 4,000 last year. And I think the year before, I'm not sure we received any. So that's huge for us. And congratulations to the staff for working hard and doing those adoptions for us. But I wanted to make sure and correct that dollar amount. So here we are, we're at the end of the year. In expenditures, there'll be some late trickles in, costs trickle in. But right now at 12 months, we're at 94.74% in cost for all programs, which is where we should be at 100%. So we're doing good. We're coming in a little over 5% under what we forecasted in our budget. And that's after we amended some stuff down. So feel good about this year. I think we're going to come in with a good finish after all those costs do come in. We're 10 months in our revenues, and right now we should be at 83.3%. Historically this year, we've been running a little bit behind, but we have caught up. So we are now at 84.9%. So we've got 2 more months of revenue or reimbursements to come in. Right now, I'm waiting for the state to get me my final revenue for May. They're a little bit slow because that's their last month for the state fiscal year. So we have 2 more months of revenues and reimbursements to post. So I'll give those probably to you the next few meetings. I think that's all I have for you, unless you guys have any questions.
I had one about, I'm not trying to throw you a curveball
Sure,
here
yeah.
and steal Jeff's phrase, but I believe we budgeted some money in this year's budget for some IT upgrades up there.
Mhm.
And I want to say we did several different departments. Who will schedule that work? Will that be
So-
admin?
It's gonna come through us.
Gonna come through you guys? Okay.
Through here on our side of it. I was asking about that because we're trying to buy several departments, different computers and things, and we're trying to get bigger deals to where we can get a better cost.
That's a good
So,
idea.
So and there's also some priorities on that, some network and things like that we're trying to price out, so.
So I prepared the quotes that we submitted for those, and we just quoted off a state contract for all the individual units. But then our IT vendor for the county would do the server end of that, depending on what y'all decide.
I like that idea of running it, just getting a bulk order there. That's good.
That's it. Okay. Thank you guys for a great year.
Moving on to item number 10, I think Miss Jennifer Garland has a presentation for us on the energy program. I think, was it one, 2 you sent out? Yeah, I think I forwarded that on.
Good afternoon. The energy outreach plan is something that the agency is required to do annually. And this just kind of tells the state our plan as far as spending our energy assistance funds. Probably as you're aware, we do not have that problem in Mitchell County in spending those funds. We do quite a good job. But we do want to focus not discriminating, but we do want to focus on our more susceptible residents in Mitchell County, and that would be our elderly and our children. So we do tend to target those pretty heavily by working with Kathy Garland at the senior center. I like to go out to the healthcare providers in the area and provide them information, especially now that they hire these basic liaison caseworkers. So I get a lot of referrals that way from the doctor's offices. We actually reached out to, Wendy and I did, we reached out to Kathy Garland there at the senior center. And even though they've worked really well with us, we didn't really have a presence there. And of course, COVID has limited us. So as of next Tuesday, we will be on site once a month there at the senior center to interact with those clients. That generation is hard to get. They're hard to lasso in. And there's nothing wrong with that. They've got lots of pride and, but we want them to take advantage of the programs. If they fit in the box, they fit in the box. And that's what we want them to realize. We're going to start with, next week, we're going to start with some food and nutrition applications with them. But we're going to start talking to them about cooling assistance. Because if they need a window unit or some assistance with their electric, we want to be able to help them afford that, because we do know the cost of those products have went substantially up. That is one thing that we are working to address. The state is talking about increasing our federal crisis dollars from 600 to 1,000 per household. That is much needed because we're getting to the point where we can't even meet the minimum deliveries for our vendors unless we go to a, $600, $700, $800. And they work really well with us. We don't want them going in the hole to help us. Well, until they change policy. I understand that right now it's not been passed, that we just wait. It was in the newsletter that they passed, but they have not notified us yet. Or it was in the the newsletter that it was being assessed to increase that. And I feel like they are looking at all those programs for an increase in dollars as to help offset those costs.
If you went from 600 to 1,000, you'd still be buying less oil this year than you did
Yeah.
last year.
Well, and then what we've got to understand too is that $600 right now, if they apply for cooling assistance, it takes away from the heating assistance. Yes, it's not two different pots of money. It's
Per
the
year.
same pot, it's per year. So the increase will help with that, hopefully. Yeah. We don't want them to have to choose, so we're hoping that we'll go on and our vendors will be able to work with us and be able to make the deliveries we have typically done 100 gallons, 125 per household. And that's worked well. We may just have to max them out this year and just send the full amount and get them what we can get them. So, but they're good to work with us. They are going in. We do have a new energy portal that the vendors are currently going into. That way they see the invoice, the approvals as soon as we do those. In the agency, as soon as we approve an applicant, let's say for JJ Gooch, he gets a notification in that. And so they can start to schedule those deliveries. It eliminates receiving faxes from us or not receiving the fax from us. And then, of course, they'll bill the state directly in that portal. So that's nice for them. It's a little bit quicker turnaround. And it takes some of the interagency work off of us. So that's nice. I think we had close to 200 payment requests for Mavis this year just for energy. That's a lot of, that's a lot of extra paperwork for
So our
not
ven-
only us, but her.
So using the portal, our vendors will now bill the state directly.
Yeah,
That's-
electronically.
that's nice.
Yeah, all happen paperless, hopefully. So I've sent out, if any of them do reach out to you, I've been sending them emails weekly. I'm willing to go out and assist getting that portal set up. It's not the easiest thing to operate. So I'm there to help. Some people have had some success, but some people have already asked for help. So we're working on it. If things continue to trend like they did last year we saw a 77% increase in energy applications. So it's getting bigger. Of course, we did have the extra pandemic funds. So it looks like that stuff is going to continue. They've already extended the COVID waivers through the end of September for us. We expect those to go till the end of the year. I mean, we're already seeing, COVID cases go up. So
When you talk about the COVID waivers, we were talking before about people being ineligible.
right, no, they're going to continue those COVID waivers, which will allow people to continue to receive. And then the supplemental payments for food and nutrition, they're continuing. Just in the past week, we've had 5 out-of-state applicants. It's changed in the county. It's going to do nothing but increase. In an ideal world, I think our hope is to assist people and get them financially independent so they can move forward. But with COVID and all those waivers in place, it's just too easy. I mean, it just makes things really easy.
But where do those waivers come from? The state or the federal?
Those are requested by the state to the USDA, and the USDA approves those for us. And North Carolina is one of the first to ask. So we just got notified that the supplemental payments will continue for July. That takes a household of 4 that qualifies for $100 up to $678 a month. So as long as those continue, we're going to continue to grow in applications for food and nutrition. And then if we get additional funds, so last year those came from the American Rescue Plan. I feel like there's going to have to be something like that for fuel assistance this year. And then if you talk to any of these people on the phone, any of these people that are on the phone with the state is constantly saying, get your staff ready. Get your staff ready. We need staff. And I don't know if that's related to the COVID, recession, a combination of both, but they're really expecting an increase in applications. And like I said, most people moving here are not moving here because they have a job. All 5 people that were applicants this past week from out of state were not employed. So that's kind of the trend that we're seeing right now.
Are they declaring that they're a legal full-time resident?
We have to take the client's statement on that as long as they provide an address and they do not have a drug felony conviction. We have to take their statement that they are residing in Mitchell County as long as they provide a physical address in Mitchell
They don't have to
County.
show you the driver's license for that address.
Oh, no.
Is that
The
something-
state has prohibited us from asking that.
That's that.
Yes.
Not something our fraud investigator would need to be able to follow up on.
Not as long as they're categorically eligible, meaning they don't have a drug felony conviction. We cannot proceed with that. We have requested residency. Yes. Now, there are ways that we can catch dual. We just had one recently where they were receiving in Tennessee, Irwin, and then in North Carolina. So, but we called them.
But probably the only way to do that is if they do have both,
Right.
correct?
Right. Now, we do verify the state that they moved from. We do verify that they didn't have benefits in that previous state or that they're terminated. We have a national directory that we do that with because the states are all individually responsible for their food and nutrition benefits. We don't share the same program. So, but we work hard to prevent fraud the best we can. So, but I say all that to explain that, public assistance, it's changed a lot. And we continue to see people go on public assistance and remain on it versus using it to better themselves.
Do you see a particular age, that number growing with a particular age group,
The 30s.
the thirties?
Yes. For the water assistance, I was able to track that just a little bit. I was a bit outraged that the water assistance program, which is part of our energy program, only allotted for clients with public water, town water to receive that. I mean, if y'all have ever put in a well pump. So what happened was I received those funds and those same people just applied every month because it was uncapped. So from December till May, I paid their water bill every month. When a lady has a well pump go out, I can't help her. So it caused quite a bit of controversy at the state over that. But when I was doing those applications, the average age of those clients were 30, 31 to be specific.
I was looking at your initial $27,000.
Mhm.
15,000 residents. Got 2,800, 2,500 that are on a municipality water system. That's about-
And I asked for another 5,000 and spent it as well.
I mean, I just
Yeah,
I don't want to sound negative,
no,
but the person inside of me says a lot of people are ripping the system off. And some people that need the assistance aren't getting it because these other folks have figured it out. So you don't pay your water bill for 2 months, you get a written notice, they don't turn it off till the third month. And you have the choice to work or not work, and you're viably able to work. Get your water bill paid for. And I don't mean for that to sound ugly
no. Mm-mm.
at all. But Granny over here that's struggling on a fixed income, that's worried about how they're gonna make it during the winter months. How they're gonna provide groceries right now. They're paying their water. And I'm gonna be quiet before I really get into one of my rants and say something that I will regret.
Well, I did address that with my operations support technician, which it went far beyond her email address and went really far up the chain.
Sometimes the head of
I'm a rebel, I'm
DHHS
sorry.
just needs to hear.
But
Hear
I
it from
was,
rural North Carolina, so.
they will hear from Mitchell County, I promise. Well, I'm just like Jeff said, to be able to help just a specific group of people and, it's hard to see those who are really suffering, not be able to get the assistance that they need, so. But I was informed that that was part of the American Rescue Plan, so the federal government built it in there that it was for the city dwellers. So. But they have rolled it back into reassess, so hopefully we'll get some, maybe I'm shaking some tables up there. But the energy outreach plan is pretty par for the course. Like I said, we do a really good job of we don't have a budget to advertise for that, but we do. WKYK works with us, and then our social media. And our best thing around here is word of mouth. One person tells their neighbors. So it works quite well for us.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brandon.
Go ahead, Jeff.
On the heating assistance. For years, this has concerned me, ever since I was on the DSS board prior to being a commissioner, that you would see people that qualified on paper, but the same thing, chose not to work, but met the qualifications.
Mhm.
But again, we saw that the elderly or the widow, by the time they got there to apply for the program, the money's gone. Are you still seeing as much of that now as you did several years ago? Or is that trend, I guess, are the true disabled or elderly people that really need it more than anybody, are they getting that? Or is everything sort of like it was, how you qualify on paper? I know you're 32 years old, your health is a horse, you're too damn lazy to work. So we're gonna buy your fuel oil for you.
We have done our best to reverse that trend. The first step was eliminating the minimum temperature guidelines. Crisis Energy is open July 1st. It's open. What that allowed is those seniors that are really more susceptible to them, they're cold and at risk at 45 degrees or whatever. When we took that, it had to be 32 degrees away. They started to apply earlier, which is okay because their doctor will always verify, yes, they need heat when it's 45 degrees outside. We have tried to really enforce that crisis requires a medical risk. I can justify medical risks for children and elderly more quickly than I can a 30-year-old. So they can state a medical risk and you can ask a few questions and kind of figure out if it's a true statement. If not, I can ask for a doctor's note. 99% of them come back with a doctor's note. But we really have tried to overturn that. In years past, up until about 2 years ago, our low-income energy assistance program, we spent most of the money in January on households that did not include anyone 60 and older. Now, almost all of the funds are used in December for 60 and over households, just because we try to target those. We work with Adult Protective Services, Stephanie Birchfield's payees. We go through them first. We call Kathy at the senior center and say, let's get your clients on the phone. Now they can apply by the phone, which also helps a lot. So that really is turning around. And I think if you'll talk to any of the vendors, they'll tell you the same thing. I mean, of course, they're still seeing some people they don't feel like are deserving, but there really isn't a lot I can do if they bring in the doctor's note.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
your hands are tied to
Yeah.
the program's written,
Yeah.
is the bottom line. You can know, you might know this individual.
Yeah.
And know the story behind it, but the paperwork is right, and if you don't follow through on your end, then
Mhm.
you're gonna get your hands smacked.
Yes, we are eligibility workers, not ineligibility workers, is what we're told. So, but I think,
Find a way to give it.
I think if you'll talk to Derek and Katie Robinson, they are great partners with us. And they have commented several times that they feel like the program is helping the right people more so now than it used to. And there's funds available when these people come in, since we're not all giving it out in 3 hours on the day that it turns 32 degrees. So there's funds available when they come in, which is
Yeah,
nice.
that's what blew my mind in the olden days, or back in the days, temperature drops to 32 degrees, you've got 2 inches or less in your oil tank, and $65,000 is gone.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That many people come in, and every one of their oil tanks had less than 2 inches when it just turned 32 degrees. But your hands are tied.
Yeah, we don't go out and measure,
Who-
you know.
Who measures
measure.
those oil tanks?
We do not measure their oil tanks, they do.
The vendors do?
No, the
No.
clients.
Yes.
And so again, we rely heavily on, client statement. And the vendors they have before, said, Jennifer, they've called back and said, hey, this client's tank is half full. So the only thing there is we send those vendors out, but they don't get any kind of compensation for going out and telling me the tank is half full. And with their cost right now, it doesn't seem quite fair sometimes.
Is there anything you can do about a misstatement from a client?
Not right now, not unless I get them to allow for charges to them for just transport out there and back, like a customer service fee. So if they bill me the right way, I can. Yeah,
We do have an investigator, Mr. Jones.
we do. So we not only- we not only-
Bud Jones, right?
we not only keep an eye on the clients, but we also monitor the vendors too, just to make sure they're not abusing the program. We don't want them saying they delivered 150 gallons and they only delivered 75.
He's a retired police officer too, isn't he? Or- is that
Mr.
correct?
Jones, yes,
Yes.
is a retired homicide detective.
There you go.
He's very, very good at what he does. We've just moved him beside of Teal, who does applications, and we've decided that's a great place for him. So they can see fraud investigator before they even go to apply. Might deter a few, so we'll see how that works.
Have any mug shots on the wall as they come down?
We should, yeah.
Like Price's Creek, you guys.
Yeah, right above the cash register. yeah.
Hang him in the lobby.
The problem with that right now is the state won't let us collect. So, but that's not stopping us from doing claims. We can do the claims. They can opt to pay. So a wonderful way they can pay us back is if they are still able to receive benefits. We just take a portion of those food and nutrition benefits each month. And now that they're getting that maximum, it's a great way to do it. It doesn't really hurt their purse to do repayments for us. But of course, they have to let us right now because of COVID. So, like I said, I think a lot of that will go on at least till the end of the year, if not longer, the way it's looking. So, but we're excited about Energy. It's my favorite program that I run. Until you've had one of those little ladies crying in your office and hugging you because they get to stay warm, or they get to buy some ground beef or a roast for dinner that week. It's a very rewarding program. Absolutely. And not just the elderly. We've had infants come home from the NICU and to a cold house, and we've been able to help them out. It's a wonderful program. It really is. We did just receive $8,000 initially for cooling assistance. That's not a huge demand here, but I do have some requests already from hospice. I've got some in-home patients that need access to air. So we're going to work on getting those done.
Did you say if that cooling assistance doesn't get used, it can go over to heating assistance?
It's the same pot of money. So they have limited them in the past to $600 per household. That's to last them from July 1st to June the 30th of the next fiscal year. That's going to be really hard, but if they'll extend that to $1,000. And of course, they can follow that up with a low income energy assistance program. And they did increase the guidelines on that, the income guidelines from 130% poverty level to 150% poverty level. So that'll help more people qualify.
Something interesting I learned is that it's not just oil. You can also, we also have firewood vendors, you said?
Yeah,
Or
we do
something.
everything. We do
So,
propane, oil, kerosene, wood, electric, of course. It can repair a broken window for a client. If maybe they're okay on heat, they just have a broken window and that they're losing their heat. Or, small repairs to furnaces and propane heaters and monitors. It's hard to get somebody to work on a monitor though. There's not a lot of
Jerry
people.
Griffith.
Yeah, and he's like 6 months behind. He stays covered up, so that's the only difficulty there. So we can buy coats, whatever we need, blankets, fans. We just have to use whatever they need at the time. So, okay, but if y'all will just look over that, and I need somebody's beautiful
need-
signature on that, to send that to the
You
state.
need the chair of the commissioners board, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll submit that to the state of North
Do we need that
Carolina
on
for their
both those
approval.
plans? Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome. If y'all have questions or you get questions from vendors anytime, just give them my email or call me. I'll be glad to talk to them. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I've got ahead of myself. So item number 10 was the energy program plan. I think we need a signature from the commissioner board chair, which Steve is taking care of, and the work first plan. You guys should have a copy of that, or should have a copy of that in your email. I forwarded you from Wendy. Is there any discussion on, do we need to discuss the work first plan?
No, basically this is kind of playing catch up. There was not one signed last year. So we're just kind of making it right and doing one. Next month, we hope to have a work first presentation, so you can hear a little bit more about that. And then we'll present this year's plan. So I have one of those for you to sign also. And I do have a paper copy of that also, if you would like.
I need to sign, looks like I need to sign the work first one as well. You'll pass out this one, Steve. You know this one, bro. Which one? I don't believe we have a need for a closed session tonight. Moving on to board comments, Commissioner Harding.
Great job, guys. Keep up the good work. I hope my comments didn't come out directly at anybody. It's just a frustration thing that the guidelines you guys have to follow. Thank you.
Mr. Pittman. Thank you. Mr. Masters. Once again, I appreciate all the work being done up there. When I, like I said, when I think I know everything that y'all are doing, I learn about new things you have to do. So I appreciate you guys being flexible and inventive when you need to be. So, thank you. Entertain a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So it's adjourned. Thank you.
Picked up on the things. For senior citizens.